Howdy everybody, in my last video I climbed under my bus and replaced my shock absorbers. Just finished up replacing the back ones as well. Whilst I was underneath, I've noticed that really it could be doing with a little bit of maintenance. Now my Mercedes Vario likes to rust, so we did a load of work to get the worst of the rust corrected when we renovated our bus. We've still got the doors and the bonnet to fix, and underneath it isn't like new, but we want to keep it as rust free, or just halt the rust that we've got there already for as long as humanly possible. So what I'm going to do today is use a new product that is like the very famous Lanoguard, but they're very careful to point out that it isn't. Join me over by my dustbin. On top of it I have a product from Buzzweld called Chassis Guard. You can buy it in aerosol form, you can buy it in a massive 5-litre drum like I have, or you can buy it in like hand sprayers. See there, my little rusty door? That'll be fixed soon. It's supposed to be really easy to apply, and it's supposed to, like I say, be something that you're going to do sort of every 6 months to every year. If you do it properly, it should last a good year, which is what we're going to try and do today. The first step is to prep, and this is probably the longest stage actually in all of it. So I started with cleaning it off with a pressure washer. Jet washing off all underneath, including obviously in the wheel arches. And underneath I'm going to apply this. This is Built Hambur's Surfex. It's basically a degreaser slash APC, so all-purpose cleaner that removes traffic film. So you dilute it down. I'm going to spray it on underneath, let it dwell for a few minutes, and then rinse it off. But this stuff's great. This could clean even the dirtiest of politicians. I took this chance to also wash the van because it was pretty green and grubby, and then I left it a week to dry. You don't need it to be bone dry because the product actually expels water, but I left it a week anyway. And I join you the weekend after with a fresh new haircut, ready to do the next stage. So it's important that any loose rust or any like big chunks of guff and whatever is removed. So I'm using like a series of wire brushes to just go over and remove anything that's loose before I'm going to start applying the product. That's a pretty filthy job, especially when you've got as much crud under as I had. So obviously if you wanted to do like a perfect job, you'd have to sandblast everything back, take everything off. Ideally have it on a ramp and everything, but that's not what we're going for here. We're trying to see what we can do on our driveway. Next up, you'll need to cover or remove anything that you don't want to get this product on. So just be forewarned, you shouldn't get this on anything like super hot, like your exhaust manifold. So cover that over if you're going to be spraying sort of liberally. And obviously your brake discs and things like that, you don't want anything oily on there. So I'm chucking some bags and plastic over my wheels, and I'll be shielding that off as I go. You can rub it off for parts, but there's something you need to remember there if you do that with the rags, which I'll explain a little bit later on. Okay, so Chassis Guard, it advertises itself as a natural product. And that's true if you use it neat. However, if you use it in one of these powder cans, that isn't true because it's been thinned. How I'm going to be applying it is with these cans and also this big sprayer bottle here. And for it to be able to pass through this, I'm also going to need to thin this about 10 to 15% with thinners. If you wanted to spray it through a Schutz tin or something like that, no problem. You'll be using 100% of the product, completely natural, and away you go. So what I'm going to do, this is a 1.5 litre sprayer. I bought this from them directly. Looks quite clever actually, so it just works like a normal sprayer, but this is designed for solvents. And it's got a little knob on the end that you can direct in any direction. And the beauty of this thing apparently is that it can actually spray upside down. Not sure I'll need to do that, but whilst I'm underneath the bus, I'm definitely going to be at a strange angle. So let's take this thing apart. I'm just going to put in here 120 millilitres of thinners and then fill it up with this stuff, see how it sprays. Just done a little bit of a test over here on my old pallet. I used this to get my lift off the bottom when I first bought the bus, because this has got a adjustable nozzle, so you can have like a jet or you can have it fine mist. So I've just sort of fine tuned it, because when you put the first coat on, you want it to be like a fine coat, but with this you kind of want it to creep in. And like I say, on our van, the main chassis rail is pretty good. On the side we do have some rusty bits, because my van's special in that it's been wrapped in aluminium to sort of conceal some hidden glory underneath, and I just want to make sure that this doesn't rust further really. But yeah, get the first spray coat on underneath, and then I'll show you how we're going to get into the cavities. So yeah, it's straightforward, but my goodness, it's messy. So I've tried to do a lightest coat as possible, but I think with this, it's actually going to be not that easy to get a light coat and a heavy coat on. I'm going to give the power cannon go in the other wheel arch, because you can see here that even with a light coat, it's like flowing really well, which is good because it will get into the nooks and crannies, but it gets everywhere. So yeah, make sure you've got lots of blue rag around. These look better for that thin coat. So I reckon the first coat with these will be good. Second coat with that will be good. Yeah, nice. But actually, the reason why I bought these cans is for a different reason. You can get these 360-degree lances to go on the top. So years gone by, I found these actually with a product called S50 from Built Hamber, and they were probably one of the first ones to do it, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, you attach this to the top of your can, and you can put this in any cavity, like drag it through, and it gives a 360-degree spray. Let me just get a bit, I'll see if I can show you. See how it sprays out? So I'm going to go through in all of the box section underneath the van now, pop it in any hole that I can, and just fill those cavities up. Okay, so that's all applied now. It's just a waiting game for drying, which I'll explain in a minute. This can also be used for lots of other things apparently. So it can be used to dress tyres, wipe it on, wipe it off, on your trim to restore it. You can use it as a wood preserver, which on our van is fabulous because the floor is wooden. You can use it on your metal tools to preserve them. You can use it as a patina preserver. You can even use it to clean things with. So actually my DeWalt torch today did get covered in it, as does my glasses, which I need to wipe off in a minute, and it's brought it up really nicely. So obviously it's meant for clean metal tools, but it's got all of this off of here now, and that looks quite nice too. The other thing that differentiates it is that it should dry quicker than other Lanolin products, but for that we're going to have to come back tomorrow, because it is supposed to only take 12 to 24 hours. So by the magic of editing, we will come back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back in the room. It's actually about 18 hours from when I finished applying the chassis guard yesterday. And I've been out and had a look. And the upper parts, okay, the bits that would have been sprayed first and where it's sort of drained first, I guess, they're dry. So you can see you can rub over and they're nice and dry. The lower parts, they're still a little bit oily, I would say, so not wet like they were yesterday, but a bit oily. But it does say that, you know, it can take 24 hours and it has been a little bit damp, so we'll come back to that tomorrow morning just before the video ends. Wanted to talk to you though about how it does this, because Lanoguard, it says you can use it, I think, within sort of 24 hours, and it takes about 7 days, I think, to go fully hard. And then it doesn't go fully hard, and it's deliberate because you want it to remain oily. So this stuff's similar, but it does it quicker. And the way it does that is through polymerization. Essentially, that's an exothermic reaction with the air, and it creates its own heat, allowing it to dry quicker. So at the moment, we're obviously still proving that test. One thing to consider with that is that any rags or anything that you use with it could store up heat, so you don't want to like crumple those up and chuck them in the dustbin with a lot of the product, because it could produce enough heat to maybe cause a fire. I think it's highly unlikely, but it's one thing to consider, and I don't think it's something you need to consider with Lanoguard. The cost of the product really was what attracted me to it, and like I said, cheaper, and if you've watched our videos, you know that we don't cheap out, but cheaper isn't always better. So we're keen to see how this pans out over the next sort of 6 to 12 months, and then we're lucky enough to have Vario friends that have just Lanoguarded their whole van. We can compare probably our van to theirs in a year's time. I paid about 42 quid for 5 litres. In comparison to Lanoguard, that would set you back just over 100. So it is about a third of the price, but it is a different product. So we're not comparing eggs with eggs here. They've both got their pluses and minuses, I think, but these are some of the main reasons why I've gone for it. One final thing I'm going to do, because I am that guy and I like experimenting, I really should stop doing that, but give me a like if you like this sort of thing. This is my very first piece of welding I did the other week. One side is better than the other because it was as I was progressing. What I'm going to actually do with this, I was going to just leave it on the shelf, but it's annoying Kelly. I'm going to spray down one side of this with the product and leave the other side bare, and then I'm going to attach this somewhere safely underneath the van where it's out of the way, and we'll see how that pans out too. It's Sunday morning, the day of the video, and we've just been out and about driving in the rain. I'm happy to report this morning that actually it's largely dry. It's still, you can get a fingernail in it when you press into it, which is I think where it needs to be. We've been out and about in the rain, it's beading nicely off there. We've been driving through some puddles like juveniles.
For testing it out.
Ready to go, I think. So yeah, we're actually gonna hit the road. So you can watch more of our videos up here, and we'll see you really soon. Take care, guys.
1, 2, 3, bye.
Bye.